Time now for Weather Watch, brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance.
You know, just like the cattle markets, farmers and ranchers across America are very much tuned in to the weather and the different weather patterns that could affect their livelihoods. And here in New Orleans at the Cattle Industry Convention's very popular Cattle Facts, Market, and Weather Outlook seminar, meteorologist Matt Makens said we could start to see a shift from one of those current weather patterns that has been causing a lot of drought in a lot of America, La Nina. Now joining us is Matt. And Matt, talk about maybe seeing a possible shift in this weather pattern, which of course would certainly be some welcome news for the better part of America.
Sure. When you throw out the word La Nina, some people react one way. When you throw out El Nino, usually there's some cheers because you bring in that water. And we're going to see that transition. We are getting rid of La Nina. We'll be in neutral, and then we open the door to El Nino. And it's the curiosity of folks, well, how quickly can we bring in El Nino? And I think it's important to emphasize patience. The atmosphere likes to run its own timeline, but we are heading in that direction. So this year, the outlook is far more favorable for the vast majority of the country than it was at last year's convention.
You know, as we've been talking with some of your teammates at Cattle Facts on the analytical side of the cow business, boy, La Nina has really caused a lot of heartache in terms of drought, herd liquidations, and so El Nino would certainly bring some much needed precip to a lot of these cattle operations, wouldn't it?
For sure. And we were talking about a historic La Nina. It was historically long and historically strong. So that was kind of more than just drought. It was a longer term drought, more impactful. We really need a lot of recovery in soil moisture, those kind of conditions. And that's for a lot of the growing areas. So even as El Nino kicks in, which is positive, brings in the moisture, the recovery efforts are kind of backlogged. La Nina built this up, and El Nino will slowly chip it back down into place.
So we've been talking about the weather pattern and this shift from hopefully La Nina into El Nino, which will bring more moisture to a lot of the country. How does that then translate into, short and long-term temperature patterns?
It's as you kick in El Nino, temperatures will cool. So by and large, as we transition through this, La Nina was heat and drought. And as you go into El Nino, you moderate and then start to cool down and bring in that water to supplement the cooling, supplement the soils, all of those things. It's all a feedback mechanism. So as we go throughout this process, temperatures, you'll see if you look at a graph, you can see in time we'll bring up the moisture and temperatures will be cooling down with this El Nino. So even if you're not getting all the moisture you want, perhaps the temperatures are helping you out by not being as extremely warm.
Anything else that was part of your presentation here in New Orleans that you want to share with this audience who maybe couldn't join us here at this year's Cattle Industry Convention, but you want them to know, whether it's this spring or into summer or even looking further down the road?
For the spring, still plan on La Nina's impact. Still plan on drought for the central and southern plains, moisture for the northern plains. As we get into the summer, things start to neutralize, but everyone east of the Rockies during the summer and the fall largely has more frequent storm systems, a better chance of precip. So we're looking better going forward this year than we were last year. As far as huge returns, huge gains, don't look for those kind of El Nino placements of surplus water until well late into the year or even into 2024.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate that insight. Again, we've been talking with Matt Makens, the meteorologist at Cattle Facts. Some very, very useful information for cattle producers across America. Again, for more details about everything that Cattle Facts has to offer for the U.S. beef cattle industry, you can visit them online at cattlefacts.com.
Weather Watch is brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors, with you no matter the weather. And by WSR Insurance, providing insurance solutions for more than a century. Visit their websites for more details.